Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Pigskin Pick'Em. It is week 11 of college football, and we're back at it again. Me and Cam were right about a game that someone refused to admit that we were right about, so that's what's up.
I'm telling you, man.
Hawaiian Bo Jesus is just like that.
I was right about some other things, though.
I was not right about a lot of shit. Barely got the West Virginia game thanks to a 2-point conversion there, but Can't have the best week either. Bennett had a pretty solid week.
I had a decent.
Decent
I
week.
got 3.
I got my 3.
I got an upset. I'm
I
happy.
got 3, so
Didn't really pick a lot of upsets this week. I kind of went off favorites, but what are you gonna do? But I'll start it off. My first game, I got Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 18. I'm taking the Sooners. The Sooners are just playing a lot better on defense lately since old ECU coach started taking over on the defensive side of the ball. It's been noticeably different. Oklahoma just always tends to win this game as well, especially at home, which the game is at home. And Oak State just lost to Baylor, so Baylor. Oklahoma's playing really good football right now. I think Oklahoma State gets outclassed. Next, I got Kentucky at Tennessee. Kentucky a 4.5-point favorite. I'm liking the Wildcats bouncing back after a pretty big loss to the Georgia Bulldogs, securing our spot in Atlanta. But Tennessee's just terrible. They're a terrible team against the spread. Every trend is against them, and I think Kentucky's still got a little bit of bite left in them. They're not done. I think they still see a goal that they can fight for, get themselves into a good bowl game, and help them on the recruiting trail. I think this game has implications for Kentucky too, and I like them to win by more than 4.5 points, even though it's at Tennessee. Lastly, game I will be attending on Saturday, I got Auburn at Georgia. Georgia favored by 14 points. Wet the whistle a little bit. Auburn is 124th in time and possession in the country. And Georgia's a run-first team. They're going to dominate, just owning the ball. Jared Stidham and the Auburn offense really hasn't done much of anything. Also, Auburn's 96th in third down defense, and Fromm has been lights out since the bye week on third down, any situation. Dogs are 10th nationally in points per game, and the Tigers are 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 innings. I think this is a no-brainer. I should have took the no-brainer with the Dogs last week, but it's too big of that to bet that game. Those are my 3 favorites, which is the first for me. I didn't really see any dogs that interested me. It's kind of a shitty week of football, but what are you going to do about it?
I guess a few potentials in there. I got 2 upsets. So
I like the Kentucky pick. It's a good pick.
moving on. Mr. Ballard.
Pretty bad. They beat Auburn, though.
Yeah, they'd be.
But Auburn's also
Auburn's
bad.
pretty freaking bad.
okay, Mr. Butthurt, let's hear it.
Oh, shit. All right, my first game.
Spent my dollar.
On bullet.
Oh, damn.
I continue.
All right, my first game, I got Wake Forest at NC State. NC State's favored by 19.5.
There's a fighter.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game, so I think Wake Forest is going to come into town, give them a good thrashing. I don't think they'll win, but I don't think NC State's going to score more than 2 touchdowns on them for the win.
Just want you to know that game starts in 3 hours, so way to pick another Thursday game because
Yeah,
you've
I
done
know.
really well on
I
those.
know. Doing great.
I need to pull up all of Zach's Thursday and Friday games, and his record's got to be atrocious.
The Friday games
Oh,
are what's
He
cruising.
probably still has more points than I do, to be honest.
Probably. Sweater vest.
Yeah. And then next I got Miami at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's favored by 3. I still don't know how they're favoring Georgia Tech. I guess Miami's just that bad. But Georgia Tech, outdated offense. They can't do anything. Miami's just too fast moving on offense and defense. They won't be able to do anything. So give me Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I got a Big Ten matchup.
Wow.
I know, right? I'm going to the
Finally.
big.
Cam over there.
One of them. I got Wisconsin at Penn State. Penn State's favored by 9. I think Wisconsin is going to do something with it. Wisconsin's, from what I've seen, is the better team. Penn State's just, they're not good. They've had too many chances to win big, and they've just given them up. And also Wisconsin, the last 3 games is 3-0 against the spread. So they're pretty hot so far. So
A little gutsy pick. I mean, I'd have to give the edge talent-wise to Penn State, but Penn State hasn't really seemed to do much in anything the last couple of weeks.
See, the game's going to be in Happy Valley, though. That's the only thing. So that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was looking at. I had a feeling that I was going to pick this game, but I had to sit for a minute and think about who I was going to pick to win. I finally settled on Wisconsin, but them being in Happy Valley was a big thing that I had to think about. That place does get loud.
That's a play, man.
Well, who's that leader? That leads to one of the Yankees up there.
I ain't up there.
Pick that was none of my games that I'm doing this week are going to be above the Dixon line.
All right. So, I guess you guys already know where I'm going for this first one. We're going straight to the
Big Ten.
I just want to say this team is actually, like, the projected Big Ten championship as of right now is currently Michigan and Northwestern. So I'm going with Northwestern. This is a big game for Northwestern right now. It's Northwestern at Iowa. Iowa's an 11-point favorite. I think Northwestern comes in and actually pulls off a big game. So they haven't been able to finish lately against these big teams, but I think they actually pull off this one. So I have Northwestern over Iowa in that game. Secondly, another one of my go-to teams. I don't know why this always ends up happening, but I have Oregon against Utah. Utah is a 4-point favor. I have Oregon in this game. They've kind of struggled recently, but Utah is one of those teams that are kind of they've been playing really well. They're not really super consistent, and they haven't really shown that they can really pull away from teams. So I think Oregon takes advantage of that. They've lost some close games. I think Oregon pulls that one off. Lastly, this is one of the teams I think are going to be, well, should be in the college playoffs. Right now I like how the playoffs are, but the way they've played, they definitely show that they can play in that top tier. I have Washington State and Colorado. Washington State is a really good team. I watched them play last week. Their quarterback, number 16, really blanking on his name right now. He is a dog. That man can fucking sling the rock, man. He's really good. I like Washington State a lot.
Washington State quarterback, whoever you are, whatever your name is, you're good.
He's not gonna watch this.
So Washington State's a 6-point favorite. I like them over Colorado. And those are my 3 games.
Lit, bro.
Yeah.
Just, some Big Ten, some Pac-12 from
Yeah,
Cam.
Cam, literally, when we were trying to figure out your points earlier, Zach was like, just look at the Big 12 or the Pac-12 and the Big 10 games, and you'll probably figure out which ones are Cam's.
Yeah. It's whatever the 2 biggest Pac-12 games are and whatever the biggest Big 10
game is. Which means, what are you going to pick next week? Because I can tell you what the game of the week's going to be.
God, man.
I wish we went with our original game of the week this week.
I'm sure I can pull something out. I can figure out something.
Wasn't it Boston College and Clemson?
What?
No, it was Mount Union versus whoever they played.
Shut! No one gave
Just say your
3.
picks, you idiots.
God, just get 0 points already. You gonna pick LSU against Arkansas? Go for it.
Or Bennett's picks.
All right, I got Ole Miss, Texas A&M is my first pick.
Wow.
What's the spread on that one?
Yeah, it's 11.5 in favor of A&M. I'm gonna go with A&M on that one. It's hard to tell though with them because they've been all over the place this year. They beat Kentucky. They almost what?
Didn't they just lose to Auburn?
Who?
I'm getting there. Let me talk.
Yeah.
They almost beat Clemson, but yet they lost to Auburn and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hate on Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
They show up when they need to, but in some games.
They show up sometimes.
They show up sometimes.
Sometimes.
And the real question for Ole Miss is, are they going to be able to get the run game moving? And I don't think they will be against A&M's defense, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run game of A&M. So that's why I'm going with A&M on that one.
So picks.
Next, this hurt me. FSU Notre Dame.
Oh my gosh.
Up until a decision I made earlier, I had Notre Dame in this game. It's a 17.5-point spread in favor of Notre Dame, but I got to go with FSU on this one because Ian Book is out.
I'm aware that I'm going to blank on your backup's name at Notre Dame there, but
that's how relevant he is because I don't know.
He started off the year.
He played last year. He was the quarterback when they played Georgia. He started the year. But anyways,
this Ian Book.
I still think that's a little bit of a ballsy pick because Florida State's just downright terrible.
Yeah.
Like that quarterback's not that bad.
Yeah.
He's not that bad. Well, I think Notre Dame is going to win the game. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to be able to cover 17.5 points without their starting quarterback.
Yeah, we'll see.
And lastly, VT Pitt.
Oh, what a heck of an ACC battle.
Yeah. I went with Pitt on this one because they average 27.2 points per game as opposed to Virginia, who they average 30.8 points per game. And Pitt allows 30.4 points per game, and VT allows 28.4 points per game. But even though Virginia Tech's stats are higher in that, they've given up more run yards and more pass yards than Pitt has. I know y'all aren't going to have much to say about that game.
I mean, good job on doing your research, Bennett.
Yeah, there you go, bud.
That's how you get good picks.
Game of the week, the all-interesting Big 12 battle. There's just not a lot of good football this week, and this is kind of the best thing we came up with. You know, spread-wise, made it interesting. But we got Texas at Texas Tech.
Yep.
Texas favored by 2 points. You know, where my Big Ten boys leaning?
Well, I'm gonna go with Texas in this one. I mean, they've shown that they can play. I don't think Texas Tech can hang around with them. I think Texas will just pull away with it. I mean, 2-point game. I think they end up winning by 10-7. So I like Texas in that one.
All I got to say is hook 'em. Got to go with Texas on this one.
We got 2 for Texas. Where are you leaning, Ballard?
As much as I hate to pick against Texas, I think I'm gonna have to go with Texas Tech on this one. I've seen a lot of their games this season, both Texas and Texas Tech, and I think Texas has shown that they can compete, but in the long run, they don't compete, and I think Texas Tech is gonna want this more because Texas has been bullying up on them for years.
Got a couple of interesting lines. Found out while I was doing my research today that Texas Tech's quarterback is out for the game. It's partially collapsed lung, reopened up, so he's done for.
Yeah, he's done for the season.
So give me Texas on this one. I got full confidence that with a backup quarterback, it's just not going to get it done. Not going to get it done. But we're sitting here, sitting at Cameron Saletti over there with a whopping 12 points. Zach Ballard over here with 11. Myself, Jacob Miller with 10. And Bennett holding up the rear, but creeping up ever so slowly, if I can speak freaking English. A whopping 7 points. We'll see you on Week 12, rivalry weekend. We'll kick off Part 1 and then follow it up the next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, with Part 2. Going to be even more interesting with some whopping rivalries with some shitty-ass teams.
Yep.
So,
and some better arguments.
yeah, hopefully some better arguments. We'll see you there, and keep on the lookout on the channel for some hunting stuff possibly coming up soon. So, Get after it, have some fun, call your bookie up, and lose some money, you losers.
Peace.
All right.